So we till here. Mhm. Okay, so the next topic is the effect of economic growth. The effects of economic growth on country welfare. So this is the question we need to answer. Now, right, if you think about Chinese economy, right, it's grow very fast, right, comparing with other countries in the world, right? Chinese economy is growing very fast. So the questions come up is economic growth in China is good for Thailand or for any other country in the world or not? It's good or bad, right? If China grows very fast, it's good or bad for the States or Europe or to Asian country, right? It's benefit for us or it's hurt us, right? That's why we need to analyze. Growth can be unbiased. So unbiased means growth is equal in every sector. For example, if China, assume China has two industry. Let's assume two industry, food and clothes. So unbiased growth means every sector in China grows equally, right? Equally. So it means if it's unbiased growth, so production possibility frontier shift, right, towards parallel, right? Because food and clothes industry grow equally. That's why it's parallelly shift towards, right, to the right hand side. This is we call unbiased growth. In the real world, it's very, very difficult to occur this case, right? Every sector cannot grow equally, right? In the real world, some sector has growth rate more than other sector. For example, in China, right? In China, the food and clothes, right? Clothes industry may grow higher than food, right? Or food industry grows higher than clothes, right? We call bias growth. Bias growth. For example, this is QF, QC, right? This is the original PPF. If growth is biased to close, it means PPF is moved biased to what? To close industry, right? Or if it biased to food, so it's something like this one, right? That's why we call unbiased growth. Yeah. Okay. So right. Growth in the world is usually biased, right? It's biased to some sector, right? Relative to other sector, right? For example, in the state, right? In the state, right? Comparing between textile industry and computer industry, which sector has higher growth rate? Of course, computer industry, right? In the state, right? But in China, maybe textile industry has higher growth rate than computer industry. Right? It's advanced growth. The growth might come from increase in labor productivity or increase in resources. Right? That's why the countries grow. This one, right? This one is growth bias toward clothes. This one is growth bias toward food. So when PPF shift or move up, then it affects which line? When PPF change, PPF reflects the production capacity of the country, right? Right. PPF. That's why if PPF move outward mean it affects demand or supply. Demand or supply. Which one? Of course, it affects supply, right? It affects supply of the country. So it means if growth bias toward clothes, it means country can produce more clothes, right, than before, right? Growth bias toward food, now country can produce more food. So that's why it affects relative supply, right? So if growth bias toward clothes, right, relative supply shift to the right because of what? Because this is QC divided by QF, right? When you produce more clothes, that's why relative supply shift right. If growth bias toward food, QC divided by QF increase, then relative supply shift left. So any question? No. Okay. So when relative supply change, it affects what? Term of trade, right? Term of trade. Because if you right, for example, this one, right? This one is close bias toward close. This growth is bias toward close, right? That's why relative supply shift to the right hand side. Then PC divided by PF decrease, right? So what happens? PC divided by PF decrease. What happens? If we export clothes, what happens? Price of clothes decrease. Term of trade decrease. So if growth bias to clothes industry, if we are clothes exporter, it's good or bad for country? If we are
bad.
bad, right? Because term of trade decreased, right? You get that? Do you understand? Right? Let's imagine we are clothes exporter. Home is clothes exporter, right? Home export clothes, import food, foreign export import clothes. Then if home growth bias toward clothes, then term of trade in home country decrease, right? That's why it's bad for home. Mm. But if it's bad for home, how about foreign? It hurts home, but it's benefit for foreign, right? Because of what? Because PF divided by PC increase in foreign. Okay, why happens? When close bias growth, it means home export more close to the world, right? Okay, when close bias growth, okay, then we produce more clothes, right? And export clothes increase, right? That's what we export more clothes to the world. That's why price of clothes in the world decrease. Then it bad for home, right? Bad for home, but it's benefit for foreign country because of foreign country can import clothes by cheaper price. Okay, understand? We call this one is export bias growth. Export bias growth because we export clothes, right? And growth is biased toward clothes. So we call export bias growth. It's biased to export sector. So export bias growth is good or bad for country?
Bad.
Bad for country. But it's good for foreign country. Right? Okay. In the opposite case, this is food bias growth. Let's imagine we are home, right? Export bias growth makes relative supply shift to the left because this is world relative supply, right? We produce food more. This one produce food more. That's why relative supply shift to the left. Relative price of close to food increase. Term of trade, home term of trade, increase or decrease?
Increase.
Home term of trade.
Decrease. Home.
Home term of trade,
Decrease.
increase or decrease? Home export what?
Home. Clothes.
Close, then PC divided by PF.
Decrease.
Increase. Right? Increase. So, food bias growth is good or bad for country? For home. It's good, right? Because what? Because when food bias growth, we produce more food, right? When we produce more food, then we import less food. When we import less food, demand for food in the world decrease. Right? When demand decrease, price of food decrease. That's why term of trade increase because price of food decrease. We import cheaper price of food than before. That's why home country benefits. Right? How about foreign? If home country grows bias toward food, world price PC over PF increase, it means term of trade of foreign decrease. Then it's mean foreign welfare decrease, right? Or worse off. Welfare foreign decrease. So in this case, we call import bias growth because growth is biased to import sector. So import bias growth is good or bad for country? Good, right? So it means growth is not always good for country. It's not always good for country. It depends on growth is biased to export sector or import sector, right? Right. It's like Thailand, right? Thailand, for example, Thailand export agricultural products to the world, export food to the world, right? Export food to the world. If food sector in Thailand expand rapidly, so it's good or bad for Thailand? Bad, right? Because it make food price in the world go down, right? Term of trade Thailand go down. That's why it's bad. It's bad for the country. In economics, we call growth is bad for country is immiserizing growth. Immiserizing growth. Immiserizing growth. Growth is bad for country. Or let's see the graph. Okay, this is close. This is food. Imagine we are close exporter. Okay. Close exporter. So, yeah. Okay, before growth, this is you. This is production point, consumption point, right? E1, E0. E1 is consumption point. E0 is production point. It means we export close, right? Export close. So this is a benchmark case. When let's assume close is labor intensive good, right? Close labor intensive goods. Food is capital intensive goods. Okay, assume home country population growth is higher. It's made labor supply in home country increase, right? Population growth. Then PPF should expand bias to close industry. Right. This is growth because labor supply increase, assume labor supply increase. So it means it move close industry outward. Then PC over PF, what happens? This one is PC divided by PF, right? PC divided by PF, what happens? Decrease or increase? After decrease, then decrease. you see, right? Right. PC over PF decrease, then you see utility in different curve go down, right? Because of growth. That's why we call growth is bad for country. Growth is bad for country. Immiserizing growth, because growth is biased to export sector. It makes export price decrease too much, right? PC over PF decrease,